Welcome to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 116, otherwise known as season 6, episode 17. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good, and appreciate having that extra hour from daylight savings to sleep.
Yeah, we went back in time overnight, and I needed it too. Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correa. How you doing, Correa?
Doing great. I got to get an extra hour of Farscape in last night because for some reason I had restless legs and couldn't sleep. So I just laid there watching Farscape on my phone with my headphones on. So it's great.
This episode's going to be, because we've had so many gosh darn guests, which, I'm not really complaining because they were all great. But we've been falling a little behind on what we've talked about, because if you may have noticed, we seemed a little rushed because we have to get to the guests. Well, this episode is going to be much more laid back, and we're going to talk about stuff that we have not gotten a chance to talk about because we've been rushed with guests.
Yeah. Halloween Hangover episode.
Yep.
The Halloween Hangover episode. But before we get to our hangovers, the first thing we got to talk about, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Have we all seen Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yes.
What do you guys think?
By the way, our reviews right now is about to show our ages so hard, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let me go first as the old guy. I thought it was just tonally all over the place. There's the fan service movie where it's about, animatronics gone crazy. And that was more like the campy, almost like, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey or Banana Splits, that kind of a thing. Although it wasn't as much fun as Megan, I didn't think. And then there's the serious movie, which is like a black phone, sinister kind of Scott Derrickson, missing kids, ghost kind of a thing. And I don't think it quite mixed for me. It didn't quite work for me. I mean, there were parts of it that I thought were fun, but then most of it I didn't. What do you guys think?
Well, it's interesting because, I've only played the first game, so, I only did some background research into this, but it did seem like they directly adapted a lot of the story and lore or whatever from the games. So it's kind of interesting how they put that into live action. Personally, I thought it was fun. I mean, granted, your critique is accurate that it was a little tonally scattershot, but those Jim Henson animatronic the Freddy Fazbear animatronics, I should say, were pretty incredible to watch on the big screen. So I did enjoy that stuff. And yeah, the missing kids plot probably could have been implemented a little bit more. How do I put this? It just not as confusingly, but overall, though,
it seemed like two movies.
Yeah, it did shift around a lot. Although it was also pretty funny too. I loved all the stuff with the aunt's lawyer, which felt almost like a Coen Brothers bit.
The aunt's lawyer was. Yeah, he was. It's funny. He maybe had two lines in the whole movie, but his presence is what's hilarious about him.
Oh yeah.
Well, I agree with the tonal shifting and stuff. I mean, I was here predominantly for the Jim Henson puppetry. I mean, we all know I'm a Muppet fiend. I exist purely for the mayhem.
And there was some Muppet mayhem in this.
There was. When the movie does the thing that Five Nights at Freddy's is famous for, with the security cameras and the puppets popping up and stuff, it was really effective. It was really good. There was the sequence in the beginning where they pretty much did almost a playthrough where you got to see the puppets looking up at the security camera and freezing and stuff. And that was awesome. I never played the games I've watched people play. I was always more of a Night Trap guy myself. But one thing that I did really enjoy was seeing Mary Stuart Masterson. She played the aunt. She was also the romantic lead in Some Kind of Wonderful, one of the few John Hughes teen movies that I love. So that was great. I was like, wait, she's very familiar. Oh, she's the reason why I crush on female drummers. But no, and also Matthew Lillard.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He ate. Oh my goodness. That whole interview thing was just had this like perfect level of like comedy and like ominous and but like also like playfulness with it. That was just like fantastic. The puppets were great. I mean, again, it's one of those things. It's kind of funny seeing like the age disparities of people who absolutely loved it and those that didn't. So it's a super fan service movie. And
that's another thing. The screening I was in, it was a press promo screening, and they did invite a bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's fanboys, that were all cosplayed out and everything. And at certain points during the movie, they would all just start cracking up uncontrollably. And I'm like, okay, I missed something here. There's something that I don't get because I never played this game, so I feel like I am definitely not the target audience for this because I have never played the game. And I feel like I may have gotten more out of it because there were parts when that got an audience reaction and I'm sitting there going, what I miss? Did I nod off?
Yeah. And that's a good question of like, when you're adapting an existing IP, especially one with such a rabid fan base, do you lean into that fan base and leave out anyone who doesn't get it? Or do you try to make it more mass appealing? Well, and what will lead to success? Well, with this one, it looks like leaning into the fan base, doing something for them has been really successful. Cause I mean, it's already like made a bunch of money.
Specifically, I looked this up. It's already made over $200 million.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is only on a $25 million budget.
And the thing is, it looks like a more expensive movie than 25 million because, I mean, it looks great. The effects are great. It's got Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard, who aren't exactly, B-listers.
Right.
I mean, they're not like Johnny Depp, but, they're both big names. So they made the most of their 25 mil. They got a lot out of it.
And not only that, but surprise, it had the best same day in theaters and streaming numbers since Black Widow. And not only that, but I think Jason Blum even said that with that streaming deal, they made their money back before it even touched theaters because of that deal. So,
and Black Widow was during the pandemic. Theaters are open. Yeah. So that was an interesting move to make it be day and date, in theaters and on streaming, but it worked for them.
Which thank God, because if I had to go to the theater to see this, I would have been pissed. Not because of the movie, but because modern movie theaters that are chains. I'm not talking about art house ones, are fucking garbage. If I have to hear one more rich filmmaker say, "Oh, going to the theater it's so special. We have to preserve it." Yeah, talk to fucking AMC, talk to Regal about like actually reining in that experience so that people can fucking enjoy it.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to comment on that because I did see it at an AMC. I did see it in theaters, and I did go in like a matinee show because I figured there'd be less people. And an interesting thing happened because a bunch of kids did show up, and I was bracing for, oh man, they're going to be annoying, and they're going to talk, and they're going to like record it or something, but actually the movie really sucked them in because like they were talking and messing around a lot before the movie, but when that movie started, like they were laser focused, they were all in on it. So that's the thing. Maybe something like Five Nights at Freddy's just really captures their imagination.
I don't know if I told you guys my story about Killers of the Flower Moon, about how a guy in the theater basically invited the entire theater to his living room to watch it because he was talking the whole time. No, he like seriously, like he'd be like, "Oh, he set her up. I can't believe that. Yeah. Oh, did you see that?" And I'm like, dude, shut the hell up. Yeah, we all saw that because we're watching a movie. Oh, yeah. So anyway, and this was at a press promo.
Oh, jeez.
And that's a quiet movie.
Security should have been like, "Oh, dude, either shut up or get up." Anyway. Yeah, I didn't think I wasn't sure if I shared that with you guys, but
no, yeah, that's the thing. If that was that you wouldn't expect that type of behavior at a press screening
of a 3.5 hour Scorsese movie. I mean, it's not Rocky Horror,
Yeah, yeah. No, with that type of stuff, you just gotta like actually go and tell security like somebody's causing a problem.
I was sitting right in front of the PR reps. So I know they were hearing this guy because I was hearing him. And I'm like, is it my job to narc these people out?
Yeah.
You know, I guess it is. The answer is yes.
And I hate that. Like when people are being like super disruptive during theaters, people are like, oh, why don't you go out front and tell them? I'm like, so I have to step out of the fucking theater and miss what parts of the movie that I paid for this, and I have to step out because of somebody else's behavior to go tell on them. Like, no, we need to bring back ushers and all that shit.
That's the thing. In regular screenings, someone does need to tell them because they're not standing there the whole time. But in these press promo, they have security and reps hanging out.
They're there to make sure no one records it.
Exactly. They're too wrapped up in their night vision goggles, making sure no one. Yeah. So, which I mean, I get, you know, especially with something like Killers of the Flower Moon, that, you know, let's face it, people would rather watch that on their couch because they can take bathroom and snack breaks.
That's what Lindsay said. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, let's not harp on the negatives of the theater going experience.
Well, that just proves how excited I am that the Egyptian is opening up again, and the Vista here in LA. Lindsay and I already
within a week of each other. Yeah,
Lindsay and I already got tickets to go see Alien at the Egyptian theater, so it feels like going home.
And what a movie to go home to, Alien.
Yeah, that was the opening movie back in the 70s. Well, let's see. On my end, for Halloween Hangover, I should mention that we had the Arrow Horror-thon last week, and I think it was a fun as hell time. Like, here's the lineup for this year. Let's see. It was Stuart Gordon's Dolls.
Fun.
Then Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker.
A blast.
Yep.
I'm already seeing the tone they were setting. That's a great tone.
Yeah. And then Psycho 2.
Oh, that's an interesting one to throw in there. Okay.
Yeah. And also Dolls and Psycho 2, both 35 millimeter. And then they played Jess Franco's Faceless with Telly Savalas, who's kind of a running character and star in the Arrow Horror-thon show. And for those of you who don't know, the Arrow Horror-thon has its own lore and events in between movies with lots of kind of inside jokes and stuff. So it's really something you got to see to believe, or you can look up some of the fan recordings on YouTube. It's an experience. And this I was pretty happy about. They did John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness on 35 millimeter Super Scope.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it looked stunning. It was it's like as close to seeing it in IMAX as could be. And then they ended on Carlo Rambaldi's Primal Rage.
How many people left that theater going, wow, Psycho 2 is actually dope?
I think more people than you'd expect.
Yeah.
I think people were into it.
Because Psycho 2 rules. Like I'll fight people over that. Like Psycho 2 is really solid. It had no right to be, but
it's no Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, but Psycho 2 is actually a pretty solid sequel, I think.
Did you see the interview with the director of Blair Witch 2 recently?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
The one where he said that they made him basically reshoot most of the movie
at the last second. Yeah, he went to a screening recently, and it was the first time he watched it since he made it, and he talked about like what they were trying to do with it, and then like what the studios made him do at the final hour, because they were already like rush job getting that in. And I think I have more of appreciation. No, I didn't hate the movie. I just like digging at James for it. But I mean, yeah, I have more of an appreciation of what he was trying to do. And you can see it, the two movies being mashed into one aspect of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Blair Witch Fever is so huge. Like Blair Witch Project came out in '99. They put this out like a year later.
Yeah, it was 2000. They didn't waste any time on it. Getting it out. So yeah. And the thing is, the reason they chose him, Joe Berlinger, he did those Paradise Lost movies. And after Blair Witch, he went and did that Metallica movie, some kind of, so he's a documentarian. Yeah. So that was part. So it kind of is confusing that they stripped basically the documentary aspect out of Blair Witch 2, because
that was his choice.
Oh, is it? Oh, did he say that was what he wanted?
Yeah,
to do?
you got to
Okay.
look up this interview. He drops a bunch of nice nuggets because they brought him in to do that legitimize, like, we got this award-winning documentarian to do the sequel, and he's like, but that shtick's done. Like the actors from Blair Witch are already doing like press rounds. Like, everyone knows it's not real. So I want to lean into like the feverish fandom around it.
And that's what I love about it. That's what I love about that movie. It's not really a sequel to the movie. It's a sequel to the hype.
Yeah. And then they forced them to bring in all that like blood and gore, all the bits that like don't really make sense really with it. And then the other cool nugget he dropped is that because of the because like it made money, so it wasn't a disaster, but like, he got railroad and like raked through the town over like it. So he took all that energy and like it inspired him to go after Metallica, some kind of monster. So if it wasn't for Blair Witch not doing well, we wouldn't have one of the greatest music docs of all time. So.
Well, it wasn't there one review that he read that basically said that he should not exist or something like that?
Yeah.
There was some brutal review that like basically said that he should not be born or should not have been born. It's like, oh, that's a bit harsh.
Well, you also got to remember, this is like the beginning. This was like early years, like online criticism. So like online, like people giving like movie opinions from Joe Schmo or whatever were just starting. And so, yeah. You got to see that toxicity.
Yeah. Also, did he say why it was called Book of Shadows, even though there is no Book of Shadows in the movie?
I don't think so. That's a good question, though. Maybe it's like Book of Saw.
Did he talk about the secret of Ezraver?
So, yeah.
No. I only saw excerpts, but those were the juicy bits.
Basically, what I've been doing, since there haven't been a lot of horror releases out lately, is I've been catching up on quote older stuff, still stuff from this year, but stuff that we've talked a lot about, but I just hadn't seen yet. And one of them is Cobweb. I finally saw.
Oh yeah,
we watched that on Halloween. Yeah,
Cobweb is awesome. That movie is really awesome. Speaking of like a Scott Derrickson-esque, kid movie, like movie that revolves around kids. That it's a combination of something like Sinister and Halloween, and then also it goes malignant on you without spoiling too much. But yeah.
Also gave me Trick or Treat vibes because, again, the weird thing is that it is distinctly a Halloween movie, and yet it was released in like July.
Oh,
and it was completely buried by Barbie and Oppenheimer.
And Lizzie Kaplan ate it. Oh man, she was fantastic in it. It was really funny sitting there and like, because Lindsay immediately was like, "So Anthony Starr is bad, right?" And it's like, "Well, get Homelander out of your mind."
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, give this thing a shot. She's like, "No, he's too fucking weird to not be the bad guy." And I'm like, "But are they?" There's some good questions with that. The third act kind of derails a little bit, but it's still so much fun.
No, it derails in the best way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of, I don't want to talk too much about it, but it derails in the way that Malignant does. And I love that. Yeah.
I just think Cobweb is one of those ones where like I can see why people will be like, "What the fuck was this? I didn't like it." But like there's so much with it where I'm like, I dig with what you were doing and what you were trying to do. And like it doesn't always do it well, but it does it in a fun way that like it never not caught my interest. It had my full attention both times I watched it this year. So yeah, I dug Cobweb a lot.
Another thing that I saw that you guys were 100% right about, it was awesome, is No One Will Save You.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Finally, guys. I've literally been messaging Jay to watch this fucking movie for every week.
I watched it a while ago, but we just haven't had time to, because again, this episode is a bit of a, kind of a
catch up.
It's a Halloween hangover, yeah. Because with not wanting to take time away from the guests, I didn't really want to talk about it when we've already talked about it when you guys saw it. But oh man, it's and the thing is, the ending, and I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending left me kind of going, there's two ways it could go, and I'm still not sure which way is right, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not gonna like go into it. But yeah, it's this doesn't spoil the movie for me. It doesn't ruin the movie for me. it just kind of opens my eyes. I'm like, oh wow, that was kind of a little ambiguous, but man, it was it was terrific. I had so much fun with it.
Yeah, it just makes me wish I could have seen it in theaters because it's a fun movie, but I feel like it would have been very different if I could have seen it in a theater.
I feel like it would have been a quiet place type of an experience in theaters. Just because there is, I mean, I think there's like 2 lines of spoken dialogue in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's great. I've been doing a lot of like back watching like older stuff and whatnot, mainly because of Hooptober, which for another year in a row, I have failed miserably in trying to watch 31 in 31 days, even though it starts September 15th. It always happens. September 15th when it starts, I front load. I watch like 7 or 8, and then like by October comes, I'm like, all right, cool, we can do 1 a day. And then something happens and I am not able to watch a title for a week or 2. And then, yeah. But there's some really good ones this year. This year was focused on Satan. So there's like some Satan titles. So, I was all about that. This year it was called Hooptober, Let Satan Come Over. Some highlights from my list was The Demon's Baby, which is one of the featured movies in Vinegar Syndrome's Made in Hong Kong box set.
Oh, yeah, that's a wild one.
Oh, man, this movie, it came out like late 90s, and it's very Sam Raimi like influenced, and it's about this like warlord in ancient Japan who
China,
my bad. Oh, that's right, Made in Hong Kong. Jesus. Made in China, and his concubines basically get possessed by these demons, and so like they almost all instantly become pregnant, and like their stomachs open up so that it kind of is like this alien Evil Dead like thing where like the fetus is eating people by like pulling them in. It's bonkers, man. Like that.
Yeah, it's just gallons of blood, very Dead Alive.
That second half is bonkers, and it has such great dialogue. Like, you should never feed a ghost tofu, and like that was one of the reasons why one of the characters dies. It's worth it. Hunt it down. Get the Blu-ray box set. It's great.
Yeah, the other movies in the box set are pretty good too, so I would recommend it.
Oh, I will dive into those at some point. But another big standout for me was Earthquake, because they needed there had to be a disaster movie Earthquake from the 70s. Oh, you guys know I love my disaster movies. I love The Wave. I love the Quake, but Earthquake. Holy damn, that movie holds up. The practical effects are dope. The cast is top notch.
Was that a TV movie in its day?
No, that was one of the big event movies.
Okay, because the cast is like it feels like a TV movie because it's like star. Yeah, it's Richard Roundtree as like an Evel Knievel knockoff, and he does stunts in it. Charlton Heston, Ava Gardner, George Kennedy, Lauren Green, Kennedy,
but Oscar winner George Kennedy.
George Kennedy is awesome.
He's so good at it.
He's good at all of those. He's the only person who can roll down the window of a plane to shoot a flare gun.
Yeah, airport.
One of my favorite bits in this is Walter Matthau is in it, and he plays a bit character where he's just a drunk, and he's just kind of in the background, and there's like this ongoing bit of him just like randomly saying actors' names, and he's just wearing the most 70s getup, but that's his whole thing. He's in like 3 scenes. He's mostly in the background and he's just drunk, and it's amazing. But yes, the practical effects are amazing. Living in LA and seeing a lot of like the familiar sites crumbling, and like, dude, people take straight up dingers in this. Like every time like stuff shakes, there's debris hitting people, like taking people out. It's brutal. Like I was really taken back on like, oh wow, you're showing a lot of people die in this. Like, and not just like, oh, off in a distance, this thing comes down and you see like little ants get crushed. No, like you're straight up seeing like giant glass shards going into people, and it's like, whoa. So yeah, Earthquake.
And also wanted to add R.I.P. Richard Roundtree, who just passed away.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, one of the greats, one of the best. Mm-hmm. And again, he steals the show. He's one of the like, I mean, he's not, one of the leads like Charlton Heston or something in this, but Richard Roundtree, every time he comes in with that leather suit, it's gold.
I bet. And as for me, I had a fun Devil's Night and Halloween because for those of you who are fans of The Crow, we all know Devil's Night is the day before Halloween, usually involving pranks or, I guess, in the context of The Crow, arson.
Arson's not pranks?
Arson can be pranks.
Oh,
Yeah. So I also like to see supernatural horror movies on Devil's Night. So the New Beverly had a great blaxploitation horror double feature with Sugar Hill and JD's Revenge. Have either of you guys seen those?
I love Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill, I have. Yeah.
It's got such a special place in my heart for being one of the first blaxploitation films I've seen. But JD's Revenge is so bonkers. That movie is incredible. If you haven't seen JD's Revenge, that was a previous Hooptober title, and from years ago. And JD's Revenge is just
yeah. Basically, Sugar Hill is about a woman, Diana Sugar Hill, played by Marky Bay. Her husband, who owns a popular and influential nightclub, is killed by gangsters because they want control of the club. So she decides to get revenge, but she's not just gonna like shoot them. Like, she invokes the power of voodoo to summon Baron Samedi, the Lord of the Dead in voodoo, to like summon zombies and like set up these elaborate kills. And it is kind of funny because like the guy playing Baron Samedi, Don Pedro Colley, like he does it in kind of a way that oddly reminds me of Freddy Krueger, because like he does the puns and he has these set pieces and he kind of appears in disguise to set people up. So it's kind of a proto slasher movie too, while also being a blaxploitation revenge film. Yeah. And also I love that just Sugar Hill is a badass. She does not have any second thoughts about revenge or what her actions. It's like, yeah, I'm using voodoo to kill all these racist asshole gangsters, and she's right to do so.
Oh, Sugar Hill. She's one of those like blaxploitation characters like Coffee or Cleopatra Jones, where she is just an icon on herself. Only her like weapon of choice is voodoo zombies. And yeah, I mean, that just
voodoo dolls, and she like has the like again all these elaborate set pieces. I loved it. And JD's Revenge again. Yeah, John, you weren't kidding. It is a bonkers ass movie because it's basically about so this like upstanding law student who gets hypnotized and he gets like possessed by the ghost of JD, in the title, who was a gangster in the 40s, and now he starts turning into a 40s gangster guy to get revenge for the ghost's murder. And it's kind of like like a demonic possession thing, except he's like he starts wearing like a zoot suit.
It's great. It's a great double feature with Petey Wheatstraw. If you want like bonkers, supernatural blaxploitation, those two are kings.
Yeah. Also, got to give a shout out to the New Beverly for playing a bunch of great blaxploitation horror trailers before the show, including some I've seen that are a lot of fun, like Abby, aka the Blaxorcist, the Black Exorcist, which if you can find it, it's a ride. Let's see. Also, they did Scream Blackula Scream, the sequel to Blackula, with Voodoo and Pam Grier, and this one isn't as well known, but I think it deserves more attention. This movie called Combat Cops, where it's basically about Austin Stoker from Assault on Precinct 13 as a cop tracking down a serial killer. And the serial killer's MO is he dresses up in blackface so that people won't recognize him, and also because he's a racist asshole, and he's like going on a killing spree through the town. And it's basic, it is kind of like a blaxploitation version of kind of like a Seven type of film, like the serial killer taunting him and all that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi or something, but I think it's by Richard Girdler, the guy that did Abby. Those are all blaxploitation horror titles worth looking up, and also the OG Blackula, because you can't go wrong with Blackula.
It's so great.
Speaking of racist assholes, another thing that I caught up with was The Wrath of Becky.
Oh, I was like, where this can go in many ways. Where are we going?
Yeah, that's what a transition. James.
Hey, the king of transitions. Movies about killing white supremacists will never not be satisfying.
Nope.
Especially when they mess with your dog. So The Wrath of Becky, I didn't think that they could top the first Becky, but I think they did. I think that it's basically Becky from the first movie has to go in, and you guys have already talked about this already, but she goes into like the foster care system, but then like escapes and basically
she's been training.
Yeah, she totally has been training. And she runs afoul of a bunch of Proud Boy kind of dudes, and you don't want to run afoul of Becky. It's
Becky gets an upgrade is what it is.
Yeah,
because
it is.
She's been training. The Proud Boys have been like amassing weapons for something. You got to watch the movie, but she definitely gets it up because in the first movie it's like Home Alone-esque stuff. This one she gets like guns and like explosives and stuff. It's great. And Sean William Scott was fantastic.
Gosh. Yeah, I still got to see it, but like, so he plays like the head Nazi guy.
Yeah, it's another one of those where you're like, wait a minute, we usually like this guy, they did that with the first Becky too, and I want to say Kevin Arnold, not Kevin Arnold,
Kevin James.
Kevin James.
Kevin Arnold was
King of Queens.
You're thinking Tom Arnold.
No, I was thinking Kevin Arnold. He was the Wonder Years, but yeah, Kevin James, Doug Heffernan. So yeah, Becky is pretty good at subverting these comedy stars into villains.
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to get for the third one. I'm kind of hoping Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt as like a hacker, computer guy type. That would be great.
Or just make him like a cult leader, like Linus Roche and Mandy or something, because they had the neo-Nazi convicts in the first one. They had these Proud Boy guys in the second one. So yeah, like third one, have Becky fight I don't know, some evil religious cult that's led by Patton Oswalt as a cult leader.
Yeah, that'd be great. I didn't hate the first one. It just wasn't so much my cup of tea. But I loved the second one. Wrath of Becky is a lot of fun.
I think I like the second one better. Mainly, maybe it's because, like you said, she gets an upgrade, and I think that, like you said, it's like Home Alone traps in the first one. The white supremacist deaths are more satisfying because they're more, I don't know, it's more, they're less sneaky. They're more in your face.
Yeah. This is Becky's Rambo First Blood Part 2, right? Because if in the first one it's mostly like traps and like running and like, this is more like, all right, guns blazing, we're going in to save the dog,
saving the dog.
That's my one critique of that movie is the dog doesn't die, but the dog, they fake you out a bunch of times. Like, is this dog about to get murked? Because I'm about to be very upset.
Well, and also they killed a dog in the first Becky, so that's on the table for them. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I think like you said, that's something that I think should always be spoiled. The dog does not die in Becky. In Wrath of Becky, it does not die. It does die in Becky. But yeah, another thing that I caught up with, which is a little older, and I'm going to mess up how you say this, Ennismen.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And it's, yeah, that movie is a trip. I mean, it is like, if you like Skinamarink, you'll like Ennismen. It's like that same kind of vibe where it's more atmospheric than plot, and it is, it is just such a strange little movie. I'm so glad movies like that exist. Movies like Skinamarink and Ennismen, and there's it was a And I saw it a while ago, but it was like a 2-for deal with the guy's other movie, Bait, which have either of you guys seen Bait?
I haven't seen either of those, but I got that deal too.
Wasn't Bait the one with the sharks in an underground mall?
No. I don't think so. Bait, it's by the same guy who did Ennismen. I haven't watched it yet. It was just part of that.
Oh wait,
deal.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, I think there might be. I think you're right. I think there is a movie called Bait about sharks in a mall.
Yeah, wait,
But this is
yeah,
not
wait.
it.
It was Bait 3D. My bad.
Okay, yeah, because of course, Sharks in a Mall is in 3D.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
How else are you going to present that?
I mean, you gotta.
Yeah. We have the technology.
I at some point I'm looking forward to watching Bait, and you should watch Ennisman, Korea.
Oh, yeah, no,
if you
Ennisman's
have
great.
that, yeah, if you got that bundle, I mean, the bundle was, I think it was like $7. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm on this, and
Yeah.
Ennisman I watched immediately when I got it because of basically Jacob's review. I'm like, this sounds like something that's going to be up my, and it is. It's just, the thing is, you don't go into it expecting a whole lot of plot because it's not there, but it's more just that underlying sense of creep, like Skinamarink. It's a great companion to Skinamarink, except it's a much brighter movie because it's all outdoors instead of all indoors.
Well, I'll have the time now because I'm done with all the weddings I had to go to until December. And then also, I'm not trying to fit all my Hooptober titles in, although I am going to try to complete the list this year. But I did. Jay, you might know this name, Paul Lynde. He was
like the actor, right?
Yeah, he was one of the most prominent people on Hollywood Square.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm associating him with the Muppet Show.
Yeah, also the voice of Roger from American Dad was based off of him.
Yeah, and he was the voice of the rat in the animated Charlotte's Web back in the day. Well, he was a big personality in the 70s. He was a closeted comedian, and his shtick was very, leaning into that. But he made one of the greatest Halloween specials I have ever seen. Someone put me onto this, and we watched it for Halloween. It's incredible. Paul Lynde is fucking hilarious, first of all. But the cast is stacked. It's him, Florence Henderson, Margaret Hamilton, who was the evil witch in Wizard of Oz. And yes, she does don green paint in it. It's great.
Yeah.
Billy Hayes, Tom Conway. And it also features the first primetime appearance and performance by Kiss. And Kiss performs like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's really great. It's on YouTube. So some beautiful person out there put it up there. It's hilarious.
What is it called? Is it the Paul Lynde Halloween Special, or
I think so? Yeah,
nailed it.
Like that. Okay.
Lynde. It is so much fun. They do a whole disco song that you sit there and you're like, there's a double entendre about penis in this. It's great.
I know that I associate him with mainly, like you said, Hollywood Squares, like the Muppet Show. I think he was on Match Game PM.
Yeah.
He was one of those celebrities that was a celebrity because he was a celebrity. I don't know if I know of any of his creative work other than just being himself on all these shows.
Well, I looked into him, and interesting life. I think they're actually developing a biopic with Billy Eichner on his life, but he was very much so because he was closeted, but also leaned into it.
He was very flamboyant.
Extremely.
The fact that he could stay in the closet and act like he does, you're like, oh, really? Come on.
It's crazy. But so there's a catch-22 with that, but he had a bunch of pilots that were made that were never picked up, but he would do these specials, and then he got into Hollywood Squares and became the center square for 1,000 episodes or so, over 1,000 episodes. He was the second person with that. And yeah, what an interesting and kind of sad life that man led. But his Halloween special is incredible. So yes, go check that out. And since we are talking Halloween hangovers, I want to talk about haunts because I've said in the past how much I love going to Universal Horror Nights and how the last few years have been the most disappointing. It's overcrowded, and the haunts themselves are very short. So you wait 2 hours to go into a thing for 5 minutes. The production value is always there. The scares are always there. The IP is for certain there. They always get top-notch IP. But we finally went to Knott's Berry Farm, or should I say Knott's Scary Farm. And it was their 50-year anniversary of doing Knott's Scary Farm, which the great thing about Knott's Berry Farm is Knott's Scary Farm basically pays for it. These are the nights that they make their money to run the place for the whole year, because the ticket prices are so cheap to go there during the rest of the year. But like I think you can get like a year pass for $100. It's crazy. But yeah, good luck getting down there and parking. Anaheim sucks. But holy shit, it was incredible. The haunts, like we were in line for like 10, 15 minutes, and these were long lines too, but like the lines went through quick and the haunts were longer than the lines sometimes. Like you'd be going through it and it would just keep going and going.
Yeah, no, I timed it actually because I went to Not Scary Farm last week too, and like the average haunt time was about 8 to 12 minutes. Like you get 8 to 12 minutes of haunt time walking through those, and you also get your steps in.
And you get your scares in too, because they were legitimate. They had like an alien outbreak thing, which was like heavily like Alien and the Thing inspired, and there were blood and guts everywhere. They had one called the Lighthouse, which was like
the Depths,
which was like Lighthouse, and they had Dagons, and they had a big Cthulhu.
Lovecraft, yeah. Although my favorite was the cinema slasher maze, where you go inside a bunch of slasher movies.
You go into the screen.
Yeah, no, it's like these made up slasher movies. And yeah, you literally go into the screen and through these theaters, and there's scares in the theaters where like people or ghouls in the audience jump at you. And my favorite is like they go big on the animatronics, because like at the end of the maze, like you think you're coming out of the theater for the screen, and you see like the light of the projector, and then suddenly the light moves because the projector is a giant film projector skull monster that like roars at you.
It's so cool. Yeah,
that's the thing I love about Knott's though, is because like they don't do anything based off IP, so like all their ideas are wholly original, so you know they get very creative with it.
Oh, they go hard. And then they also for the 50th year they did this one where it was
the chilling chamber
where it was like it was a best of, and so they had bits and pieces and props from from like various
older mazes
throughout the years, and that one was incredible. And that one went on, I feel like the longest. That one felt, because that was the first one we hit, and I was like, holy shit, are they all like going to be like this 20-minute long thing? But the great thing about it is it was right next to the Snoopy theater. Which is like Snoopy and his like Snoopy Scouts. I'm sorry, I don't know Peanuts lore that well, but it's
in
like
the canoe.
Yeah, so there's Snoopy in the canoe, but it was great because they still had all the Snoopy stuff in view, but they were playing the Shining theme. So it was really weird seeing this like Snoopy cabin aesthetic with like the I was like, this is the scariest fucking thing here. The other best thing, and I always highly recommend this whenever you're in a park and it's night, the last thing you should do, the thing you should do before you leave is do the log ride, because log rides fucking rule. Log rides at night fucking rule. And the log ride at Not Scary Farm is the greatest thing ever. Again, this thing goes on for fucking ever. And it's great because it starts off, it's like, oh, there's a scary jack-o'-lantern. Oh, there's another jack-o'-lantern. Wait, is that an alien next to some hobos? Okay. And so you're going and there's like little things sprinkled. And then all of a sudden it's like, get ready for the jamboree. And you round the corner and it's like all the leftover props from other haunts are just like regurgitated all over this big jamboree thing. So they had a Sam Squanch, they had aliens, they had zombies, just like everyone just all around these like hillbilly hobos just like drinking and stuff. It was everything. Like I have a huge smile on my face just talking about it. I fucking love that log ride. So yes, Not Scary Farm, better than Universal, hands down.
Yeah, Not Scary really is you get your money's worth there. I do love it.
Good luck with parking again, because Anaheim sucks.
That is true. Let's see, and let's talk about Halloween proper. This year my Halloween was pretty low key. You know, this year Halloween fell on a Tuesday, so got most of my partying and stuff done on the previous weekend between I went to a Halloween party, I went to the horror-thon, I went to Knott's, and then on Halloween I had a morning shift, and then I just kind of hung out and rewatched Halloween 3, and then that night though I decided to celebrate in the best way possible. A friend was hosting a screening of a 16mm print of the original John Carpenter's Halloween at the Lumiere Theater in Beverly Hills. And
nice.
You know, it's funny because like I don't really watch the original Halloween all that often, you know, very seasonal, but just every time you watch it, you realize why it is such a classic. Like, it is genuinely a perfect slasher movie between the tension and the sets and the characters, just Jamie Lee. And yeah, Michael Myers from the beginning, scary as hell. Though this, just one thing though is that I kind of wish that they kept up with Michael's tricks, because he was a bit of a trickster in the first one. Like when he had no reason to do this. Like he took Paul's glasses and wore the ghost costume to surprise his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or Bob, right? Bob, my bad.
Can I get your ghost?
Yeah, no, just. I wish he'd do more gags in the Halloween movies, because yeah, sure, he's scary and stabs people, but I think it'd be scarier if he just like did like weird little shit like that in every movie.
Listen, I think that the night he came home, that first night, changed Michael, because I do think he had a little bit of a petty side, a little bit of a trickster side of him. But after getting stabbed in the face with a clothes hanger and shot a few times,
six times.
I shot him 6 times.
I can see one getting a little jaded and kind of dropping the whole. He's like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. I'm just gonna murk people now. That's called character growth.
It's part of his arc.
Yeah. And speaking of, I also rewatched the original Halloween 2 after that, keep up continuity, because I also rewatched Halloween 3 Season Witch, starring our Lord and Savior, Tom Atkins. Yeah. And yeah, no, I really do love the original Halloween 2, where, they go to the hospital and it's the after the night he came home, or it's like going into November 1st, because it's got to be after midnight at that point. I mean, it's got great kills, got great tension setup. I mean, honestly, if you just remove the whole twist thing about Laurie being Michael's sister, then it's a solid movie. Because that's the thing, like that plot twist doesn't even apply to the movie. It was just because like I don't think she even really finds out. They just kind of disclose it in the car, and they have the weird flashbacks, but it has no real bearing on the story proper. It's like they say, the Halloween movies are kind of a choose your own adventure style thing in how you watch them. So
my Halloween, we did usually on Halloween, my wife is out of town for some reason, and so I'm hiding in the back with the dogs from the trick-or-treaters. But this year she was in town, and also last year I noticed there were a lot of trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood. So we actually gave out candy. We hung out in the driveway giving out candy, and we have this big window in the front of our house that looks in on my TV. So we had that window open, and I was playing the first 2 Hotel Transylvanias on my TV as we were hanging out giving candy, and people were coming up and oh, Hotel Transylvania, people would recognize it, which made my heart grow 2 sizes when people were recognizing the movie that we're playing. Because I was joking with Trish, she's all, yeah, put on something family friendly but spooky, and and I was like, well, I couldn't find Hotel Transylvania, so I put on I Spit on Your Grave. I was joking. But no, we had Hotel Transylvania on. And I was surprised at the number of people. It actually made me kind of spooky because, these people can see what I'm watching. If they could see, it made me realize how many people can watch TV with me, I guess, from the neighborhood, because they can see it so well.
Yeah. So when you're marathoning the I Spit on Your Grave movies, you got to
pull the shades down,
close your curtains. Yeah.
Yeah, we have our neighborhood. I was actually when we've been walking the dogs, we've been going through, and I would never myself buy one of those $300 skeletons or werewolves, from Home Depot, because I just, I can't justify the cost, and where am I going to put it in the Aussie and stuff. But I'm so glad that there are people in my neighborhood who do have them. Yeah, because we'll be walking the dogs past them, and there's a giant werewolf and a giant skeleton right down the street, and I'm just so glad that it exists and I get to look at it without having to deal with it myself.
You see, I think one of the only reasons why I want to buy a home is so I can justify the purchase of a 13-foot tall Home Depot skeleton. Like that's home ownership it's not the most appealing thing to me, but owning one of those and having it up year round does. So someday. Our Halloween was pretty chill. We watched the Lynde Special. I worked most of the day. And then we went down to a friend's party and we went to WeHo because WeHo had their first Halloween parade since the pandemic. We caught the tail end of it, though. I will say, not a lot of Kens, surprisingly, which was great. But I also made the note of like the Casa Mojo Ken. There was only like one. The rest were mostly like the rollerblade outfit. And yeah, I just thought that was a funny note because everyone's like, oh, there's gonna be so many Kens and so many. It's like, nah, it was pretty chill with that.
You know, we got a lot of Harry Potters, and granted, they were kids, so you know, of course, a kid's not going to dress like Casa Mojo Ken. But I was surprised that at the number of Harry Potters we got.
I know kids like Harry Potter.
Yeah, but it just seems like when was the last time a Harry Potter movie came out? 10 years ago.
Oh, Fantastic Beasts.
Well, yeah. I guess
Technically.
the spin-offs, but
Yeah.
I was just surprised that Harry Potter still has legs like that.
I think it's because the kids that grew up on the Harry Potter books are now adults and they're forcing it down their kids' gullets.
Their kids, yeah.
I'm trying not to sound. I don't like Harry Potter, so but I'm not negative. Hey, if that's your thing, that's cool, bud. But I do think it's that we're seeing that cycle happen. It's kind of like how our parents and my parents introduced me to the Star Wars, all that, Star Trek, all that fun jazz.
There were also a bunch of Batmans, I noticed too. Harry Potter and Batman were the two big ones. And then one thing that kind of surprised us, there were, not a ton, but there were enough dogs that were trick-or-treating with their families that Trish and I have decided next year we're going to have dog treats for the dogs. Like the dogs can trick-or-treat with us too.
That's
sweet.
I'm so jealous. One of the things I was so excited about in moving out of the woods of New Hampshire into a city like LA was to have trick-or-treaters. But trick-or-treaters don't go to apartment buildings. So, yeah, the only time we've ever had kids like come by us is when we had our next door neighbors had kids. And apparently our decorations terrified them. What few we had on our doors, which poor kids, because we were at the beginning of the hall to their door. So those kids had to walk by our decorations every day. But we didn't know until after. So, yeah. But we were like, hey, we have this giant bowl of candy. Do your kids want it? He's like, they can't have any more candy. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, if you show up at my place, I'll give you candy. I have a lot.
We didn't give out all that we had too. It was funny because we had this little bowl and then we had a backup bag. And Trish was like, yep, this is what $50 worth of Halloween candy looks like.
Ooh.
And
that's a lot of candy.
It is a lot of candy, but surprisingly not. I was like, really? This is 50? It doesn't go as far as it used to. And the candy pieces are teeny tiny now. The Halloween candy ones, they're like quote fun size, but that's just like a quarter the size of
Fun size is a lie.
Fun size.
It's great though is the days after Halloween because I just cleaned house. They had these like Halloween corn nuts things that were like cheddar flavored. Oh man, been snacking on those, but the bags are so small. It's like a handful. That's it.
All right. Well, I hope that you bared with us on our Halloween Hangover episode. This was just a whole lot of us talking. So if you like that, you were probably in heaven. We hope that you all had a great Halloween and drop us a note. Let us know what you did. If you did something fun, because, we all seem to have fun doing our thing on Halloween. Our theme music is by Restless Spirit, so go give them a listen, including their new album, After Image.
Yeah, it's fucking dope.
Streaming everywhere. So yeah, go give Restless Spirit some love. Our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go give him some love too. Yeah. If any of you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on all the socials at Ion Horror or at iHorror.com, which is the site we all call home. And we'll be back in a couple weeks, most likely with an actual topic that we can discuss. And it won't just be, us sitting around talking about what we've done for the last month. Although, when is this podcast not just us talking about what we've done for the last month?
It's what we do. Also, James, can I plug something else I've been working on?
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah, your new pod. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm co-hosting a new podcast with Ryan Colchera called the Hollow Rewind podcast. Just keeping in line with the Halloween season, where basically we bring in guests and talk about various Halloween specials and TV episodes and movies.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I was going to say our first episode is up right now on Spotify and Apple iTunes, and we've got some social media set up at Hollow Rewind, Twitter, Facebook, all that. So if you want to keep Halloween going year round, give us a listen.
And if you guys do want to do an episode on the Lynde Halloween Special, you know who to call. The new biggest
that's a fun
fan
idea,
of that.
John. You're the first on the list
for the Lynde Special specifically.
Yeah, Lynde specialist Jonathan Correa.
Let me go watch it 8 more times.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks. And if you miss us during those couple weeks, go listen to Jacob on the Hallow Rewind. And we will see you later. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.